So hi, welcome back. If you are joining me from Facebook, well, you've seen me pretty recently. If you're joining me from YouTube, it's been a while, a minute since I posted. I thought I would take this opportunity today to kind of go over some misconceptions about some of the Amish horses that I buy and then sell, because I hear a lot of things that just aren't true. All right. So let's go over and groom the gray mare, because frankly, the gray mare always needs grooming. It's a perpetual thing. So anyway, one of the first things that I always hear about the Amish horses is, wow, they've seen a lot of things. And I mean, technically that's kind of true, right? They've seen a lot of things on the farm. They've seen cows, and they've seen chickens, and they've seen goats and kids, little tiny kids with big straw hats. They've seen all those things. But these guys, they drive, right? And most of them, I would say around here, 99% of them drive with blinders on. So that means everything that these horses have seen, they have seen coming directly at them, unless it's just regular old farm stuff. When it comes to cars and lawnmowers and crazy things, no, these guys, they haven't naturally just seen them, except when it's coming directly at them. You know, if it's on their side or coming up behind them is a big thing when you get these guys in. That's a huge adjustment. Seeing scary things like the UPS truck directly from the side, that's a pretty big adjustment. You adjusted pretty quick. Your compatriot, your friend there that was here before you, she adjusted fairly quickly too, but it took her a little more. But you know, every horse is different. My first one took him a little bit longer. He was definitely scared of anything with an engine for a very long time. But that's just the way it is. They're not used to things with engines. You know, if they run on an Amish farm, if they run anything, it's a diesel motor. It's run by pulleys and a generator that's, you know, set well away from the farm. So it's not like these guys are used to that. You know, even the noise of an engine sometimes it'll get their attention in a big way. So what are some of the other things that I've heard about them? Well, that they're cheap, and people can't believe that I ask as much as I do for these guys. And let me explain to you what it takes to get them to be the really great citizens that I like to think that I'm letting loose on the world. So first of all, you know, I try to pick horses that, one, the Amish don't necessarily want. They don't want something that's slow, that's pokey to get to the grocery store. And that's why this one, the mare preceding her, Artemis, and even Zeus, if you remember him, that's why all of them were sold to me, because they were just really laid back individuals. So I have to be very selective in the ones I pick. And on top of that, you know, then I kind of have to beg a little to get them to sell them to me. But generally, you know, if they're slow and pokey and laid back, they'll sell them. And so one, I take that horse with a really good brain. And then I have to get them vet visits. These horses probably have not seen any sort of vaccination. The group of Amish that's up here is considered low Amish, which means, you know, the women, you know, their clothes are pinned. They're not sewn. There's no zippers, no lights on the buggies. They have a lantern. We petitioned the church to make them have reflective tape on their buggies. They finally did that. So, you know, they're very, very, very humble people. So their horses generally are not vaccinated. Some of them get a little bit more care than others. you know, the Amish view these guys as a useful tool. They are an integral part of their lifestyle. And just like anything else, some families give better care. Where I got this gray mare, where I got the bay mare, there were two brothers actually, and they thoroughly believe in taking very good care of their animals. You know, they feed really well. I actually, in the case of the bay mare, I actually had to take weight off of her before I could start working her. But, you know, that's not true of every Amish family. Some of them don't feed as well as like where I got these guys from. So you have, a lot of times you have a nutritional deficit to make up because these guys spend so much time outside and they're not used to the bright lights indoors. You know, there's no lights in the Amish barns. They're generally not bank style barns necessarily. Some are, some aren't. They're often 2 or 3 stories. The horses are kept in the bottom floor, under the hayloft and under everything else. And it's dark in there very often. So, you know, they're not used to the regular light cycle that we do with the show horses, the 12 hours of light. So it takes a little bit longer to get their hair coats where I want them. Obviously, they have to be trained to ride. For the most part, I buy finished driving horses. So that means that they are coming into their 4-year-old year. They don't start them until they're 3. So 4 and older, finished driving horses. So they have a life skill already. And I'm paying for the fact that they are finished in one job already. You know, they are finished driving horses. You can take them anywhere. You can hitch them up. You can go in and drive them wherever you want them. But then I have to break them to ride. As a driving horse, they understand, obviously, bit pressure, turning left, turning right, going straight. They don't understand things like circles, leg pressure, lateral movement. Some of the fancier driving horses will have an inkling of that, because the fancier you get with driving, there's a little more lateral stuff that has to be done in the shafts, you know, if you want to really pivot that buggy around or a cart or something. So the older they are, the more they might have an inkling on that. I have a lot of body work that I have to put into them because these guys have been going down the road. For the most part, I buy buggy horses and not the work horses off the farm. The horses have been going down the road. The road is cambered. You know, it is crowned in the center so that the rein will roll off it. And because of that, these horses have been trotting, you know, tipping to the right their whole lives. So there is a lot of right side body work. I can usually tell an Amish horse because they are very, very stiff on their right side. They go around anytime Amish approach something that they think the horse might spook at. They're still tracking down the road and they might turn their head to look, you know, oncoming traffic or that dog or that lawnmower in the yard off to the left. So their head and neck might be bent, but their body's still going straight and it's still at that cambered angle. The buggy is still constantly trying to pull them off the road to the right. So these horses have to compensate for all of that as they're trotting forward down the road, carrying the entire family. So I have a lot of body work, a lot of physical therapy, if you want to call it that we have to do to get them back to right and fairly balanced and even. Surprisingly, this mare came in with the least amount of any sort of stiffness out of any of the horses that I've ever picked up from the Amish, even the youngest ones. She just was really supple, really loose through her body. Even my massage therapist commented on it. She works on a lot of Amish horses. She's like, yeah, she's the loosest, evenest one that she's ever worked on. So as I said, it takes about a year. Actually, I probably didn't say that. It takes about a year to get these horses right. So I've got to go through all that, all the vet work, the dental work, all the things that they don't get growing up. Amish, I have to provide. And then it takes about a year to, 1, get their coat right, 2, get their personalities right. Again, this mare is like trekking way ahead of that curve. I think she was a little spoiled, even in her Amish life. She was well loved. The Amish family actually asked me to keep her name if I would. So that meant she actually meant something to them, which is unusual. But anyway, so it takes about a year to really get these horses right. So that's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of investment, a lot of grain and hay and farrier visits and vet visits. So yeah, I'm going to ask quite a bit for these horses. So why do I buy these prospects if it's going to take me that long to get them right so that I can resell them? And I'll tell you why these Amish horses in particular make such great prospects. You know, not only they generally all been handled by children, and they're used to children, and they're used to farm animals, and they're used to all of the general hullabaloo that you get on the farm. You know, they were raised outside, so they're fairly rugged. They're used to weather. They're used to flies. The couple of things I can say as a horse that has been at least somewhat started, they know some very important life skills. They know to tie. And I can't tell you how important that is for these guys to just tie very patiently. If you watch a lot of the videos I post of these Amish horses, the minute they're on the cross ties or anywhere, they start to fall asleep because they quickly learn they work. And then as soon as they stop working, they get their nap in. They might as well go to sleep. They might be tied there for a while. They're, you know, if they've had to go to church, those horses are there. They're parked there for a good long time. So they quickly learn to get their rest in while they're tied and then go back to work. So they develop a work ethic for the most part. Remember, I picked the lazy ones. They learn to have a lot of poise and self-confidence. So driving down the road, well, I said they don't see a lot of stuff. They don't see a lot of stuff behind them and to the side. They do see plenty coming at them, and they learn that they're not going to die, you know, and that gives them a lot of confidence. And because they're led places and driven places by the Amish, they have a lot of faith in humans. Believe it or not, for all of you that think the Amish abuse their horses, these horses have a lot of faith in people. I cannot tell you how many Amish 2-year-olds I have gone to load in the horse trailer. Barely lead. I mean, you know, they're scared to death of that horse trailer as they're walking up. And do you know how long it takes to load that horse? A minute, maybe. You walk up, you give them a second to assess it. They're so used to walking into that tie stall. They're so used to walking into that dark barn and just doing it. And they just load right in the trailer. You tie them up, you shut the partition. They haul, not always perfectly. I've had a couple that have pawed pretty bad, but that is ultimately about the worst thing they're going to do. So the fact that they tie and the fact they go where they're led because they have a lot of confidence in people, the two most important characteristics, probably the two biggest time savers off of buying like the yearling and 2-year-old breed horses that I sometimes buy. You know, I can take these guys that aren't started under saddle, but they have that. I could buy the 2-year-old Amish horses and be that much further ahead because these guys they have that. They tie everywhere. And they know that once they're tied, they're kind of stuck there. And they have a lot of faith in people and they go where they're led. Those two things right there, the two most important qualities that any of these Amish horses have, and the reason they make such good riding partners after the fact. Those are the two reasons I buy them.